Hi guys, thank you for tuning into what is a Q&A and drive, because it's been 2 months just about since the first Q&A session and I've been quite busy, so nothing much happened. And instead of you looking at my face for half an hour, I'll go back to the format of talking and driving, but with the added complexity of printed paper to read from. So these are all your questions today about hardware, so computer hardware, sim hardware, that sort of stuff. 3 pages full of them. Thank you for all those questions, although a lot. So I've prepared this properly by making some notes. As you can see, very in depth there, and yeah. In general, you know, I like to prepare these things thoroughly, so yeah, I did, and we'll just try to drive on the hill climb track here again. Last time we did that, it was in a Group B car. So what do you bring to top the Group B car, Niels? Well, I brought my own car, a Ford Fiesta, which is the 1.25 Z-Tech engine model, with 75 horsepower more or less, and we may hit 60 mile an hour at some point, perhaps even 70 at the flat parts, but otherwise we'll be going full throttle and not really all that quickly. And of course this whole setup of talking, reading, driving, it can only go wrong. That's why I'm doing it this way. There we go. No stalling. I have some graphics issues, updated my drivers, which I should never have done. I can't seem to go back easily, I have to reinstall or something. And it made a whole bunch of stuff go glitchy and horrible. So, and this mod is very low quality, so... Oh, there's a start line. Don't overshoot. So, hardware questions then. But first, let's get a taste for the raw speed of my real car. Yes, we're 80 kilometers. Kilometers sound faster than miles, approaching 60 miles an hour. And there it is, into fourth, still 60 miles an hour. 64 as we stamp on the brakes. In second gear, look at this acceleration and the tearing. Damn drivers. On our way to 60, although we're not there yet. We're still not there yet. 60 miles an hour in third. So this beast I have to control while answering your questions. So, first question. What's the specs of your PC? From Sukaskapa. I have a Core 2 Duo, an old dual-core CPU with a ATI 5870 2GB card. Ooh, as I approach 60, but as I not reach it, which is 2GB graphics card. Is the iVinity 6 edition, so it can connect up to 6 monitors, of which I have 5 connected, because I've got these 3 for my sim rig and 2 on the desk there when I pretend to do intelligent work. So it's quite nice for that, although it's a couple of generations old. It's not the quickest, of course. 4GB RAM, micro ATX case, it's all very tiny, custom cooler on everything, and big heat sinks and stuff. I like the PC to be very quiet, so it does run very quiet, even though it's overclocked, because normally the CPU runs at 3 GHz. It's an E8400, but I've overclocked it to 4 GHz. But I haven't been too fortunate with the chip. Quite a lot of them do 4 GHz easily, but I need... Oh, sorry. I need a lot of voltage to get that, so it's a really inefficient hot beast. Uses 200 something watts just at the desktop, so it's not very green. Slow in, slow out. It's the only way. When do you plan to upgrade it? And if soon, what will the new specs be? Oh, third gear and down to second. Oh, chirp, chirp. Pushing here. I probably will update it at some point because this is getting a little bit frustrating now. Issues, the wasted power. So, well, the wise thing to buy is an i5K unlocked for a bit of overclocking. And these days the new Nvidia cards are quite nice. GTX 970 is good value. Although it might have some issues with the 5 screens and switching between them. That doesn't really work. At least not in the same nice way that with AMD you can have profiles and stuff. And easily switch between desktop and sim modes. Oh, lift off! Oversteer! I spun my own car! Woohoo! Oh yeah. Oh, the embarrassment, and we've only just started. I spun my own car. Oh dear. Right. Second question from Steban Jigs. I'm curious to what monitors you use for your triple screen setup. Would you mind letting us know what brand and model and for what reasons? These are old Yamaha 27-inch. I think it's HDS 2710. I forgot. They're not for sale anymore. 60 Hz, almost the cheapest ones you could get, and I bought these because the input lag is very low. So this instant my graphics card sends an image, it will start to display it, although there is quite a bit of smearing and it's not the best in that regard, but input lag is low. Just cheap TN screens. I debezeled them, as you can see, with a bit of tape around the edges, black tape. It doesn't help that much, unfortunately, but cheap 60 Hz, 27-inch, low lag screens aren't a bad way to have. Oh, this is. It feels a lot quicker than you are because there is no grip. I already spun it. I don't want to do that again. Oh, almost down to second. And this sort of connects to the next question from Kidix. Hey, he makes those awesome looking tracks. Have you had any experience with 120 Hz displays? I have. What are they like? Are they capable to run 120 FPS? Oh, I'm going too quickly, I'm scared. With VSync. So no input lag and no tearing. I recently made a simulator for René Binder from Austria, GP2 driver. And we went for 120 Hz screens. So I do have some experience with it. Although I didn't even think about using VSync because I'm just assuming it won't be good, but I haven't tried. The tearing you get at 120 Hz is a lot less, so the chopped trees syndrome isn't as bad because the frames are closer together, so it doesn't affect it that much. I have to say I did quite like the 120 Hz, although the main thing is input lag. If that's low, you have a good monitor, and these have low input lag. But the main thing with the 120 Hz, they were BenQ monitors, also had overdrive, which wants to minimize the smearing and the crapness when things move. They become unclear. It tries to improve that. Oh, where am I? And that did a good job at 120 Hz with that overdrive, although it was a little overdone. It's very sharp even when things move quickly, so you can still see a sharp tree rather than a smeary one. So not bad. I quite like it. Although it's a lot of extra cost, because I think those are like 400 euros a piece, and 60 Hz screens are like 180 or even less. So for value for money, I would still use 60 Hz, but if you have a bit more to spend, yeah, 120 is great. But didn't try FreeSync. Flat out 100. Oh no, I was saying 100, not used to the low numbers. I was meaning to say 60 miles an hour that I did there. Flat out. So next question is, how can you afford a Botnar wheel but not a proper PC? Well, it's quite simple really. If you go to your bank account, look at the number, subtract a Botnar wheel, sim steering wheel, and then see what you've got left. It's not a lot, so but it's also, like I said, I don't really need it, as what I do runs good enough, and I don't really buy stuff that I don't need. Although, like I said, one of these days, yeah, it's about it's pretty old, from 2008 now, so yeah, I probably will upgrade soon. On to the next, from Charlie Sears. Alright, hey Niels, oh, this is a lot of text. He wants me to crash. What are your opinions on how to survive this next corner? Oh, understeer. This is a complicated question. I'll just put it in 5th gear. So, what are your opinions on where sim racing gear is headed with regards to precision and accuracy of inputs? For instance, many folks will upgrade from G27 8-bit pedal input to have, say, a Botnar or DSD board with 12-bit output. However, at least on the DSD board I've noticed a few bits of noise, especially when coupled to non-high-end pods and without regard to cable layout. It's also worth noting, as I'm losing speed here, this is quite peaceful, I can do this. Oh, engine revs dropping down a gear. I know an engineer who works on vehicle electronics who claims that their OEM fly-by-wire solution is only 8 bits, and that is more than enough. Do you think there is an upper limit to the precision of electronics we are using for input? Have any of the real-world vehicles you've worked on used fly-by-wire, and what was their bit width? These are some interesting points he raises. I've always felt accuracy and latency were more important than the bit width and the output. He is trying to make me crash even at 40 kilometers an hour. So, I've always preferred accuracy and latency, yes, like I said. So, yet joystick boards in the sim market seem to not disclose that information. In your opinion, what electronic improvements can be made to our input devices from where we currently stand? Sorry. Right, that's something to think about and talk about. There is this recurring thing with consumers that don't necessarily have the know-how to understand what things are about, and then they think a bigger number is better. How many times do you see a car being sold and then it has the 7,000 watts stereo option, which says absolutely nothing about the quality or the loudness of the sound, yet people just gravitate towards that. The same goes for input as well. More is better, even when it isn't. people look at the number and forget all the other factors, such what you mentioned. Noise can be a factor, latency is a factor. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. You don't need more than 8-bit. I'm convinced, no matter for what pedal, 8-bit is more than enough. But even that is still looking just at a number. What else you have to look at is the sim, the game you're playing, looks at your USB device as a number of times per second. And if it doesn't look often enough, then and you're pressing the pedal down, it will miss certain updates. So say you have a super accurate pedal with 4000 steps, and as you press it, say in 1 second you go to full throttle, but the sim only checks your controller a couple of times during that second, so it will still be big steps. Even though your hardware seems to have 4000 steps, the sim may only see 200. Or if it's in 1 second, some sims still use the frame rate or 60 Hertz to look at the USB device. So in that case, it only gets 60 updates in a second. And if you press from 0 to 100% throttle in 1 second, even though your device may have 4000 steps, the sim only sees 60. So that's something people don't realize, and it's quite important as well. Plus, you mentioned noise, which is certainly true. It's very hard to have true 12-bit accuracy because a little bit of noise is often present. Noise isn't the only thing. If you look at conventional pedals, often using potentiometers, they have a shaft, and the shaft will have a tiny little bit of play on it, and typically it's actuated with cogs or with those rods, and they will have a little bit of slack and play. Very soon, just that slack and play will be a significant amount. If you're looking at like 4000 steps, then pretty soon, you know, 1 step would be 0.00 something inch, but you also have a bit of slack and slop that is nearly 60. So that slack and slop is also important, and the update rate and the read rate of the sim. So there is no need for more than 8-bit electronics if it's truly 8-bit and if it's quick and doesn't have noise and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's not something we have measured that much on real cars, or I haven't worked with the sensor data as much in real racing cars, but 8-bit's fine. So I don't think there's that much left to do really on that front. Of course, I use boards from Leo Bodner. They work quite well. Very happy with that. And while the 12-bit accuracy is probably not always reached, it does a good job of having good latency and also good accuracy. And then it's more up to the user what sensor to use and how to hook it up. So with our pedals, using a small load cell even for the throttle and the clutch, and that's spring actuated, so there's a tiny coil spring pressing down on the load cell. And the good thing about that is that it takes up all the slop and slack, because there's a bit of preload on the spring. So when you change direction on the pedals, there is no slack and slop, it's instantly adjusting. So in that regard, those things play a small role, probably a bigger role than the resolution of the pedal. So that was a whole lot of text. Did I answer it more or less? I think I did. Some questions about my rig. Hi Niels, the part of your rig where the botna is attached is self-made, or is it somewhere available? Looks very solid. Thanks, great videos. Okay, he probably means this thing here. Yeah, it's a water jet cut aluminium plate which I designed for this rig. Hey Niels, you had a DIY wood rig before. Can you give more details on your new steel rig? Well, I'm a bit on the fence on that. It doesn't work quite as well as I hoped. It works very well, but it's all a bit creaky and squeaky. I have to redo up all the bolts, I think. It's a little impractical. So perhaps I'm not excluding like the possibility of doing a guide or something for this rig, but don't hold your breath, I would say. As I turn the page, Paul asks, are Mavin load cells in third gear struggle? This mountain is a bit too much to ask for my car. Are Mavin load cells the best brand, or will most other brands work fine? There are more brands. I don't know if these are the best. They are reliable, high quality if you ask me, but I don't know if they're the best. Possibly not. There are some extremely expensive load cells out there. Some questions about another topic. Is H Engineering planning on coming up with a servo wheel in the future? As a fellow engineer, I would much rather buy one from an engineer than from a marketeer. Well, you wouldn't want to buy one from me, because I really don't know how to develop that. A lot of it is the electronics and the software, and those are the two things I know absolutely nothing about. So there isn't that much mechanical about the servo wheel. So another thing is Leo Bodnar with the sim steering wheel. That's such a great wheel. I can see it's theoretically possible to equal it, but I cannot really imagine bettering it. So no, not really. There are a few more questions about me making a wheel, so you all think I can do that, which is appreciate to see that, but no, I really can't. So NC Labs ask, are you going to make a wheel? And then Rafael Acosta says, hey, what about a wheelbase? An asteroid coming, where is it? Also wants to know, but no wheel, sorry about that. And then Zara asks, can you tell something about the pedals you do? And can you put them on offer for some time, please? I'm interested to buy them. Well, you can do that from our website, of course, h-engineering.net, but that's a bit of self-promotion. And the next question is from Yari. Now that Assetto Corsa has been out for a while, seems some mods out, what's your take on it? Against R-Factor 2. That'll be a next Q&A about the software, but the reason the question is here because he goes on. Oops, sorry, Cone. He goes on to ask something about shifters, I believe. Force feedback H pattern shifter, mechanically locking gates. Possibility or just a dream? Mostly a dream, I think, at the moment. Not a bad idea, but difficult as in you have to do it properly. I remember some years ago people were using force feedback joysticks as shifters, but the forces they provide is very, very limited, and it's all a bit sloppy and it didn't work too well. So you want a nice firm feel, which is going to mean a big motor and expensive parts to drive. And at the end of the day you're just pressing 7 buttons, and each sim would have to support the device. So let's consider that a dream for now. And then Demox has a question. Hey Niels, what is in your opinion the best wheel for 350 to 400 euros? I cannot really. Oh, I reached the top. Uh-oh. You know what that means? Turning around and going downhill. Oh no, that'll be... That and I spun uphill, which is amazing. So downhill, that'll be scary. Okay, well, let's be brave. Plus I don't know which way to go downhill. So, scary, but we'll do that. We'll do that, guys. Hi, crowd. Anti-wise, coming up. So, opinion on the best wheel. Sorry, I don't really know. I haven't tried any of the new wheels since I got my sim steering. You said you tested a lot of sims over the years but never got happy with them. What is about iRacing? So I guess he means what about iRacing? I'm subscribed. I occasionally do some offline driving. I have of course deep respect for Dave Kammer and his role in sim physics, but I'll go into it more in a video about modding and stuff. But I get the enjoyment from making cars set myself and being in control over all the parameters, and that's why I don't really play other sims that much.